I'd like to call the meeting of the City Council to order. Alderman Basidel, do we have someone to help us on item 2.1, the Pledge of Allegiance?
We do. We have some special guests, the Hawthorne 5th grade Girl Scout Troop, Troop 55330. Their leader is Kelly Carpenter, who brought them today. I'm sorry, and Amy Berry also. So we're going to ask them to come stand up here and help us lead the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
All right, girls, come on up.
So they get to the right spot.
All right, whenever you're ready. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you for leading us in the pledge. It always seems to have a little bit more energy from a younger generation. All right, Clerk Tamer, would you call the roll, please?
Mulliner.
Here.
Brennan.
Here.
Verimas. Here. Deuter.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Halumsky.
Here.
Benson.
Here.
Toludo.
Here.
Cahill. Absent. Nudera.
Here.
Park.
Here.
Conquest. Absent. Bastido.
Here.
12 present, 2 absent.
12 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum. Moving on to receipt of written communications from the public, I will note for the aldermen and those who are accessing board docs, we have 2 written communications that were posted on board docs under, I believe, public forum. Is that correct? Does anyone in the audience have a written communication that they would like to deliver to the council? If so, please raise your hand. All right, there being none, we'll move on to public forum. Clerk Tamer, is anyone signed in for public forum this evening?
Nobody is signed in, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that did not have an opportunity to sign in for public forum that would like to address the council this evening? All right, there being none, we'll move on. Consent agenda. Clerk Tamer, please read the consent agenda.
Announcements are next.
Order announcements.
You had to do that. All right. Let's go back to announcements. Are there any announcements from the dais tonight?
I actually have.
Clerk Tamer.
I just want to say the deadlines is both been extended till Friday for the Exemplary Youth Service Awards, as well as registration to participate in the Job and Volunteer Fair. So we'll close both of those on this Friday. The Job and Volunteer Fair will be March 22nd at York, and the Exemplary Youth Service Awards will be April 19th. But again, nominations and registration both deadline this Friday at 5 o'clock, and you can find both on the city website.
And the Exemplary Youth Award can be nominated by anyone in the community if you know an exemplary youth that you would like to put forth for consideration. Thank you. Any other announcements? Now, under the consent agenda, Clerk Tamer.
Okay, 6.1, minutes of the regular meeting of the Elmhurst City Council on February 21st, 2023. 6.2, minutes of the executive session meeting of the Elmhurst City Council on February 21st, 2023. 6.3, accounts payable March 6, 2023, $9,851,760.68. 6.4, report, building code amendments. 6.5, report, Case 23 PO2, Island Construction, 240 West Lake, conditional use permit for preliminary plan unit development with site development allowances, map amendment, subdivision. 6.6 report, Spring Road Pet Parade final report. 6.7 report, 2023 Explore Elmhurst Community Grant Program. 6.8 report, 2023 Explore Elmhurst Express Trolley Program. 6.9 report, amendment to liquor license classification WBBS. 6.10 report, Bottle Theory liquor license class change. 6.11 report, 4 on the 4th, 2023. 6.12 report, residential intersection traffic control. 6.13 report, North Industrial Forest Main engineering design. 6.14 report, rate adjustment for refuse and yard waste services. 6.15 report, 2023 sidewalk replacement program. 6.16 report, 2023 contract paving program construction bids. 6.17 report contract paving program engineering services. 6.18, an ordinance to amend section 36.11 entitled Limitation on Number of Licenses of Article 2 entitled Retail Licenses of Chapter 36 entitled Liquor of the Municipal Code of Ordinances of the City of Elmhurst, Illinois. 6.19, an ordinance making appropriations for Special Service Area Number 6 of the City of Elmhurst for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023. 6.20, an ordinance making appropriations for Special Service Area Number 13 of the City of Elmhurst for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023. 6.21, an ordinance making appropriations for Special Service Area Number 16 of the City of Elmhurst for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023. And 6.22, a resolution regarding the filling of certain vacancies in the Fire Department.
Thank you, Clerk Tamer. Is there any item on the consent agenda that any alderman would like to remove, either for further discussion or to vote against? Alderman Jensen?
6.5.
6.5. Alderman Deuter?
6.12.
6.12. Any other alderman want to remove anything from the, Alderman Hill?
6.8.
6.8. Any other items to be removed? All right. I would then ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda minus items 6.5, 6.8, and 6.12. Alderman Deuter with a motion. Alderman Hill with the second. Clerk Tamer.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Brennan.
Aye.
Verimas.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Toledo.
Aye.
Cahill. Absent. Nudera.
Aye.
Park.
Aye.
Conquest. Absent. And Bastido.
Aye.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent. The consent agenda minus items 6.5, 6.8, and 6.12 is adopted. Moving on to items 6.5. Clerk Tamer, would you read the report?
Therefore, the Development, Planning, and Zoning Committee recommends that the City Council approve conditional use permit for a preliminary plan unit development with site development allowances with the condition that a proper sidewalk be constructed from the subject property for the existing sidewalk at Kimball Avenue, Maple Avenue, a map amendment from the C3 General Commercial District to the R4 Limited General Residence District, and a plat of subdivision to consolidate 3 parcels at the property commonly known as 240 West Lake Street. The city attorney is hereby directed to prepare the necessary documents for city council approval. Signed, Danny Palumski, Chair, Mark A. Mulliner, Vice Chair, and Emily Bastido, Alderwoman, Ward 6.
May I have a motion to put 6.5 before the council? Alderman Palumski, second Alderman Mulliner. Alderman Palumski.
I defer to, was it Alderman Dunn that pulled this report?
Alderman Jensen.
I'm sorry, Alderman Jensen.
Alderman Jensen?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I just pulled this to vote present to prevent the appearance of a possible conflict of interest.
Very good. Anyone else have any discussion? Alderman Dunn.
Yes, I'm glad Alderman Jensen pulled this. I wanted to pull it myself. This particular project has been in the works for quite a few years. Started out as 36 units. About a $1.6 million ask, I think, for the city. That was not approved by the zoning commission nor the council. It was reworked to I think less units, less dense project, and more of a fit for the area. Also, the incentive that was given along with it was for water infrastructure, which is needed for these properties and others as well. So I think it's a good project, but I do want to thank the zoning commission and the committee for their diligence and and the applicant for continuing to be flexible, but in particular with the accessibility to the neighborhood to the south of these units. I really did not want to see a project be developed where they were isolated and locked in on Lake Street. So we have the applicant agreed to accessibility, building a sidewalk there. We want these people to move in to these townhomes, to be welcome, to be part of the community, and be able to walk in through the neighborhoods there. So I do support this report.
Any other discussion on item 6.5? There being none, Clerk Tamer, please call the roll.
Mulliner,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
Verimas. Aye. Deuter,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Polemski,
Aye.
Jensen,
Present?
Toludo,
Aye.
Cahill, absent, Udera,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Conquest, absent, Bastido.
Aye.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present, 2 absent.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present, 2 absent. Item Report 6.5 is adopted. On to Report 6.8. Clerk Tamer, please read the report.
It is therefore the recommendation of the Public Affairs and Safety Committee that the City Council authorize the City Attorney to prepare the necessary documents for approval of the 2023 Explore Elmhurst Express Trolley Program. Signed, Marty Deuter, Chair, Jacob Hill, Vice Chair, and James A. Nudera, 5th Ward Alderman.
We have a motion to put item 6.8 before the council. Motion by Alderman Deuter, second by Alderman Nudera. Alderman Deuter.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll give a brief introduction of what's before us tonight. This is the report to approve the trolley service for this coming summer. Folks know this is a service that we began in 2015. It has been adjusted. I think adjustments have been made almost every year since the time it was launched in 2015. We now have a service that is known to folks, that's an identifiable experience. It is intended to be an experience for folks who visit one of our 3 business districts, something that gives them, enhances that visit, attracts them to those areas, and just enhances the visit to that area. Want to highlight just a few things that are going to be different about the service this summer. We added 1 additional stop, which is going to be at 3rd and York, so it's getting to the north end of City Center. We are going to adjust the way that we do the advertising on the trolley. We're charging more for that advertising, and a larger portion of that revenue is coming to the city. It's not a significant amount, but it's a move in the right direction. And lastly, and I think this is the most important change for the trolley service for this summer, is we are dramatically enhancing the way that we will be collecting data. In past years, we've had the driver who clicks as people come on and gives us a rough idea of how many people are using the trolley, may or may not catch everybody, and has no information about where they're getting on and where they're getting off. So the system that we are going to be buying and installing in the trolley this summer is one that was researched by our IT director and recommended by him. It is going to give us a wealth of information, much more than what we have now. So we're going to know who's getting on, whether it's an adult or a child, when they get on, when they get off, what the total capacity is at the trolley at points in time, and also the duration of the loop, how long. We intend for this to be a 30-minute loop. We're going to be able to have information about when it exceeds that, when it might be under that. So I think that will put us in a great position to make adjustments going forward that are guided by that data.
All right, and just to correct, we had a little error. Alderman Hill did not sign the report. There was no forgery. You just didn't sign the report. Alderman Hill, did you want to speak to the report?
I did. Thank you, Mayor. And thanks to everybody, staff, and the committee that worked on this. I just want to make a comment. Starting with a bold claim, the Elmhurst trolley is an excellent service that I'm willing to bet I've ridden more than anybody on council. Having had young children during the critical time, which it started up till now, but I definitely took full enjoyment. And anybody wants to contest me on that number, I don't have any data, but
We will.
it's an excellent way to travel between the businesses in Elmhurst. But there are businesses all over Elmhurst, especially concentrated on York Road. And I don't understand the intransigence to test new stops that not only serve other businesses along York, but direct even more consumers downtown. Especially testing new stops that might have no conflicts or remove or compromise, I should say, the current route. In the last year's report, we approved 4 stops in the downtown area. They had actually been there for some time. In this report before us tonight proposes adding a 5th stop in the downtown area on York and 3rd, which is approximately 1,000 feet from the one nearby at York and Schiller. I know because I walked it the other day just to see what it felt like. It seems very close to me. This is a big concentration of stops in the downtown area. And although I do appreciate that there is an add stop, I do think it fails in any way to really expand service to other areas of town. And it doesn't make sense to me. It slows down the trolley loop just to save people a city block. And at least I feel that the prior route was more efficient. That being said, I would like to say to my residents that I want them to know that I'm committed to expanding our wonderful trolley going forward as we collect more data and find out how the trolley is used. But I hope that we can aim towards a more inclusive trolley route that services more of Elmhurst. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman Hill. Further discussion, Alderman Jensen.
Thank you. Thank you to the committee and staff for the work they put into the topic, discussing several different options to enhance the program. I'm happy to see the addition of data collection to the program. This will be the first summer out of the COVID pandemic, so when this is revisited in a year, we will have good data to examine when considering possible modifications to the program. While it's no longer being considered this year, I'm hopeful that in the future, we could see an expanded route during Rock the Block and the Holly Trolley, which would provide an opportunity for residents further from downtown to enjoy this unique experience more easily during these special events. With that, I fully support this report and look forward to riding the trolley with my family this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Bastido.
I just have one comment and one question. I, am really pleased with the time that the committee took to discuss this issue, and I understand part of the discussion included adding stops further south. So right now, the furthest south you go is Villette and York, and I just wanted to express my support for the idea that came up in committee and didn't make it into the final report, which is to have an extra stop further south during Rock the Block, which I think is a really, popular time for everybody to be heading uptown. I'd like to see, in future years, if you guys discuss expansion, to at least do it during Rock the Block when I think you would see a lot of ridership. And my one question was, Alderman Deuter, you talked about the data collection, and I just want to confirm. So one of the pieces of, because I hear a lot that the trolley encourages out-of-towners to come and, to visit our downtown. But one of the pieces of data you're not collecting is whether they're from Elmhurst or outside Elmhurst, right?
Alderman Deuter.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. To respond to that question, the data that's being collected, it's just looking at bodies coming on or off. We did have the discussion at committee about whether or not we would have information about how many of the users might be residents. And the tool that we will have to estimate that, get some sense of that, is through the raffle. People have an opportunity. In the past, we've done a raffle and you have to fill out a ticket and drop it off. This is going to be by a QR code. So as folks hop on, they can just scan it with their phone and then submit a little bit of information, including address, or maybe I think it's just going to ask a residency question. Are you a resident of Elmhurst? So we will get more of an idea for at least the people who respond and enter the raffle, whether they are residents or non-residents. So we'll have some information about that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Winner need not be present, right?
Winner need not be present.
Alderman Toledo.
Thank you. Thank you to the committee for the work that they've done. I support the report tonight. I would encourage whomever is in charge of this in the next year to be mindful, and for the council to be mindful of what the intention and the strategic intent of this program is. And the reason for that is that I was aware of Alderman Hill's concerns and desire for expanded north-south access on the trolley route. And one of the things that I discovered is that we do have extensive public transportation in Elmhurst. It's the PACE system. It goes all the way north, way outside of Elmhurst, all the way down to Oak Brook, North-south, we're serviced by, or east-west, we're serviced by routes on St. Charles and North Avenue. So what I don't want our trolley system to become is a public transportation system, because we already have that students and seniors can ride for $1 a trip, very affordable. So I think that we just have to really be cognizant of what the intention of this program is when we look at that next year. Thank you.
Alderman Toledo. Any other discussion? There being none, Clerk Tamer, call the roll.
Mulliner,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
Marimas. Aye. Joyner,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Palumski,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Toledo,
Aye.
Cahill, absent, Nudera,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Conquest, absent, Bastido.
Aye.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent. Report 6.12 is adopted. I'm sorry, 6.08. On to Report 6.12. Clerk Tamer, please read the report.
Just want to make sure it's, hold on. Before I read it. Okay.
It is therefore the recommendation of the Public Affairs and Safety Committee that the City Council approve the recommended residential intersection traffic control parameters as recommended above. The committee recommends that the city attorney be authorized to prepare the necessary documents for City Council approval. Signed, Marty Deuter, Chair, Jacob Hill, Vice Chair, James A. Nudera, Fifth Ward.
Thank you. May I have a motion to put item 6.12 before the council? Alderman Deuter with the motion, second by Alderman Hill. Alderman Deuter.
Thank you, Mayor. So a lot of the committee's discussion is reflected in the report before us, but I'd like to provide a little bit of additional context. This report is born out of the neighborhood traffic analysis that's underway currently in College View. It is the first neighborhood to be reviewed, but the expectation is that this type of review will take place in each neighborhood area over the coming years, and that it will improve the safety of our residential streets. While going through the analysis for College View, 2 issues arose that, depending on how they are decided, will have implications citywide. For that reason, the 2 issues were pulled out and are being considered in advance of the recommendations for the neighborhood. Before I describe those recommendations, I want to comment on the approach that we're taking with the neighborhood studies. Historically, changes to an intersection happened when neighbors complained about the safety of a particular intersection. And then staff, often with the help of a consultant, would study that particular intersection, and changes would be recommended if that intersection met the warrants specified in the MUTCD, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. The warrants most often cited are traffic volume and accident history. The approach that we are taking now, that's being kicked off with this initial neighborhood study, is consistent with the MUTCD, which allows for decisions based on engineering judgment, and is proactive rather than reactive. This is especially important as we are seeing more distracted drivers and more drivers who are following directions from an app that may direct them to unfamiliar streets. So with this new approach, we're really looking at the entire neighborhood as a whole, not just spots where people complain. So we're looking at intersections that we might not have otherwise looked at. So going back to the recommendations that are arising from that study, there are 2 recommendations, policy recommendations before us tonight. One is related to uncontrolled intersections. The second is related to yield control intersections. So first on uncontrolled intersections. As the report outlines, the recommendation is that in general, all intersections should have some form of traffic control in at least one direction. This means that over time, as neighborhoods are analyzed, most of the city's 200 uncontrolled intersections would be controlled by a stop sign in at least one direction. The second recommendation relates to yield-controlled intersections, and the recommendation is that, as it says, in general, so there could be exceptions, yield signs will not be used as traffic control devices at residential intersections and should be replaced with stop signs. So this would affect approximately 100 intersections citywide. Surrounding communities made this change years ago, and our analysis of a handful of intersections. Staff looked at a handful of intersections where within the city we had made the change from a yield sign to a stop sign. And in those cases, the accident history went from multiple, I think averaging 3 or 4, down to 0 in the years since it was done. So pretty powerful information that supports this change. So these changes are intended to increase safety and decrease accidents by increasing consistency, reducing confusion, and proactively accounting for obstructions that decrease sight lines in residential areas, things like landscaping, parked cars, and delivery trucks. So I'm super excited for these changes. Not often that we get really excited about traffic control devices, but this is a time I really appreciate the way that we are looking at this. This was a recommendation the idea of looking at traffic in this way was brought to us by staff. I applaud staff for their initiative in bringing this to us, and these particular changes, I think, will be really good ones for our city. Thank you.
Alderman Deuter, we have before us on the dais. Go ahead, back to you.
That's the second part of my comments. Got too excited, I forgot the other piece of business. So in conversations, and I appreciate everyone who provided input on this. I think a lot of people weighed in, had the opportunity to hear from a lot of folks. So this reflects a lot of input, but one piece that we wanted to add to really clarify how we are approaching this going forward is some language that folks sitting on the dais will see that there is a highlighted paragraph on page 2. It doesn't change the substance of the report, does not change the substance of what was discussed at committee, but I think provides some clear guidance on how these proposed changes intersect with the MUTCD and just have that clearly stated for future reference. So with that, I would like to make a motion to amend the report as indicated on page 2 with that additional paragraph. Can I read, should I read that, Mayor? Read the paragraph?
I think if you want.
Okay. So the paragraph says, historically, the city of Elmhurst has followed the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD, and other regional advisory documents for guidance on the installation and modification of intersection traffic control. The MUTCD allows for engineering judgment to be a decision factor when it comes to traffic control. The city of Elmhurst will continue to utilize the MUTCD and engineering judgment when analyzing existing and proposed traffic control.
All right, we have a motion by Alderman Deuter to add to the report the language she just wrote, which is before you in highlight. I need a second on that motion, Alderman Hill. Discussion now on the amendment, not on the report. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Alderman Dunn.
I had some discussions with Alderman Deuter on this particular report. I guess I was a little surprised by the outcome of the report because I was under the impression that we were looking at a traffic study in the
Alderman
college.
Dunn, just make sure we're just on the amendment now. Yeah, you're on there. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. So I was, under the impression that we were looking at a traffic study in the College View area, but I understand the need to really clarify these 2 points. 700 and some residential intersections in the city, over 200 are uncontrolled. It looks to be 90% of them are, T intersections with a dead end going into a busier street. We've learned to handle those type of intersections through driver's ed and yielding to the oncoming traffic if you're coming to that T. The intersections that are yield control are kind of clustered in that College View area and then in the southwest area of Elmhurst. There was a nice visual from the committee reports last Monday which depicts all these intersections. I support this amendment because I think that we haven't had a stop sign review in a while. We used to have them a lot more, but they got a little bit contentious, and we did usually fall back on the MUTCD analysis approach, where it depended on the speeds that the cars were going, the traffic counts, to determine whether we needed any type of control or we needed a yield sign, or next step is one stop sign at a four-way intersection, or two, or actually a four-way stop if it was elevated to that point. So there were different warrants depending on that, and the council generally accepted what was in there. So I think that's a good addition. I understand what's in the report now, moving uncontrolled intersections to being controlled, and then the yield to be stop signs. That means we're eventually going to change 300 intersections, or the intent is to change 300 intersections from a lesser control, yield or nothing, to a stop sign. And that's a lot of additional stop signs, but having this addition in the analysis, I think will give us guidance as to if there are special cases where that maybe isn't the case. We can make an alternate decision there. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman Dunn. Additional discussion on the amendment. Alderman Toledo.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Chair Deuter and the committee for adding this amendment. I support the amendment. I think it, echoing some of Alderman Dunn's comments just now, I think not having MUTCD mentioned in the report gave me a little concern that we were going to completely ignore the MUTCD, and having this discussions with Alderman Deuter and having this in there, and also discussions with Public Director Balicki, that no, we are still going to use it. It's going to inform decisions. We're not completely getting rid of it, but that we're acknowledging that there are cases where engineering judgment will overrule a possible recommendation by the MUTCD. But I think having the explicit recognition that that is one of the factors that it will be considered in the analysis as we proceed through these intersection and neighborhood analyses is important. It gives everyone involved, residents and the council and staff, a little bit more foundation to stand on and to point to when decisions are made, that I think will give clarity to everybody moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Toledo. Any other discussion on the amendment? There being none, Clerk Tamer will call the roll. We are voting now only on the amendment to the report. Clerk Tamer.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Brennan.
Aye.
Verimus.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Toledo.
Aye.
Cahill absent. Nudera.
Aye.
Park.
Aye.
Conquest absent. And Bastido.
Aye.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent. The amendment is adopted. We're now on to the report as amended. Discussion on the report. Alderman Brennan.
Thank you, Mayor. So as Chairwoman Deuter indicated, consistency is the main theme with this report. And being in the 7th Ward, there are a lot of inconsistencies. So I look forward to moving forward and voting yes for this report, as I do think it will clear up a lot of inconsistencies. And not only for the residents of Elmhurst, but those who are visiting our fair city. I think sometimes it's not obvious at an intersection. Regardless of our training, I think, every little bit helps as far as safety goes. So thank you to the committee. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman Brennan. Alderman Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. I, of course, support this amended report, but I do want to point out, as we're talking about safety recommendations, I want to make the council and our residents aware that during the presentation by KOLA Incorporated, who performed the traffic study, the director provided a general statement that said, quote, "The village/city should continue to work to provide sidewalks on at least one side of all roads as part of a general safety recommendation when discussing, discussing safety improvements." That's all I have.
Thank you, Alderman Hill. Other discussion? I would just like to add my comment. Traffic safety has been something that's been very important to me. One of the complaints we hear about most frequently is speeding on the side streets. I thought it was just mine, but apparently it's others. And we started out 2 years ago trying to find ways to solve the problem, and I do thank staff, Director Balicki. This is a really a unique approach. It's been done, I think, in one other suburb or two around here, but you brought it to us, and I think this is a first step in making sure our streets get safer, remain safe either way. All right, with that, Clerk Tamer, please call the roll.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Brennan.
Aye.
Barimas. Aye. Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Toledo.
Aye.
Cahill absent. Nudera.
Aye.
Park.
Aye.
Conquest absent. Bastido.
Aye.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent. The report is adopted. Thank you. Moving on to item 7, reports and recommendations of appointed elected officials. Mayor Levin, I have 3 things. First of all, thanks to Jim O'Connor and the St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee. Weather cooperated due to the intergovernmental cooperation we have with the U.S. Weather Service. The snow didn't come. Either that or our public works were out all night because there was no snow when I woke up. It was a great event. Thanks also to city staff, particularly police, fire, and public works for all their support. Item 2, for those who follow high school hockey, York hockey is from the Final 8 to the Final 4. They'll be playing Wednesday night at the Edge, and if they win that, they will be in the state championship. Lastly, to the Girl Scouts who remain, if you have to go, you're welcome to stay, but you can get up at any time. We're not taking attendance. That's my report. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 items. 1, reminder that vehicle stickers are now on sale. You should have received a renewal in the mail. You can mail that in, you can go online, you can come into City Hall to renew those. Second item, we'll be hosting a blood drive here at City Hall on March 7th. There's information on our website and available times to come in and donate a pint. And then the third item is unfortunately a police issue, but I want to highlight it tonight because it involved the U.S. Postal Service. And we were alerted this morning that a couple of U.S. postal boxes were broken into overnight. And so if there was mail deposited in either one of them on after Saturday at 4 o'clock until this morning, there's a chance, unfortunately, that mail was stolen. Those 2 locations were the mailbox on Cottage Hill, directly across from the post office, and then the mailbox at First and Haven. And so we'll be sending out information as much as we can to as many resources as we can to alert the residents. Alderman Toledo brought up a good point that there could be some ballots and tax payments and so forth in that. So we will be alerting the community as much as possible, and certainly we would encourage people to monitor their bank accounts, let their banks know that this is a possibility. Of course, our police department is investigating it, and as we learn more, we'll share that with the community.
All right, thank you, City Manager. Are there any other reports from elected officials? All right, moving on to item 8, committee reports. Item 8.1, Clerk Tamer, would you read the report?
Therefore, the Development, Planning, and Zoning Committee recommends that the City Council deny the request to exceed 6 stories, 77 feet in height, and approve the conditional use permit for a preliminary plan unit development for a building at a maximum height of 6 stories or 77 feet in height, and a site development allowance to allow the building to be constructed 2.17 feet from the front property line at the property commonly known as 200 North York Street. The city attorney is hereby directed to prepare the necessary documents for city council approval. Signed, Danny Palumsky, Chair, Mark A. Mulliner, Vice Chair, and Emily Bastido, Alderwoman, Ward 6.
We have a motion to put Report 8.1 before the council. Motion, Alderman Palumsky, second, Alderman Mulliner. Alderman Palumsky.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank staff and the commission for their work on this, and I'd like to thank the applicant, the neighbors, and all the members of the public who have been a part of the process and shared their input. So this item is a request from RSCK proposing a 9-story or 109-foot, 10-inch tall condominium building with first-floor retail at 200 North York Street. RSCK is seeking a conditional use permit for a planned unit development, a conditional use permit for height to exceed 77 feet. And with that conditional use for the planned unit development is also a request for site development allowances. Our PUD ordinance applies here because the proposed building frontage on York Street exceeds 75 feet. And the conditional use ordinance applies for the height because it exceeds at 6 stories. The proposed project would be expertly designed, constructed of high-quality materials in line with the downtown design guidelines. It would include 7 stories of condominiums over 2 stories of parking, all above grade. Each of the 28 units is proposed to include 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and a study. The committee unanimously agreed with the final recommendations of the Zoning and Planning Commission, which were to deny the applicant's request for a conditional use permit to construct a building up to 109 feet, 10 inches, and to recommend the approval of a conditional use permit for a planned unit development constructed up to 77 feet in height with site development allowances for a setback of 2.17 feet from the property line. The applicant demonstrated that concerns related to traffic, alley access, and stormwater mitigation had been addressed. The commission discussed a number of reasons to reject the proposed height, but the committee did not conclude that there would be a negative impact due to shadows or access to light and air. The committee's rationale primarily relied upon the standard pertaining to compatibility with the comprehensive plan, particularly with respect to the 2016 downtown sub-area plan. That downtown plan incorporated the interests of our residents and their thoughtful input gathered at public workshops, surveys, public comment, and other communications. The council approved the new downtown sub-area plan, and in turn, the larger comprehensive plan was amended to include it. The direction was given to staff and consultants to amend our zoning code to be compatible with that updated plan in a manner to authorize us to make zoning decisions to realize the intent of the plan. Regarding height, a recurring theme of our downtown plan is that height beyond 6 stories in the core is sometimes, but not always, appropriate. For example, the built form recommendations for the downtown core states the city should permit new development to reach 6 stories by right and up to 10 stories based on parcel consolidation, market conditions, context, and alignment with other city objectives and regulations. The committee felt that the based on parcel consolidation part was applicable here. The project is proposed on a relatively small site. Since the adoption of the updated comprehensive plan and zoning code, the city has approved buildings taller than what was permitted as of right, but only when parcel consolidation with much greater floor area allowed for buildings to be designed with lower heights visible from the front and taller elevations set back. Another example of the downtown plan conveying that beyond 6 stories is sometimes, but not always, appropriate can be found in the building scale recommendations from the design guidelines chapter of the plan. It states that up to 6 story buildings should be encouraged in the core. Taller buildings may be appropriate adjacent to key intersections or other selected locations. Again, sometimes, but not always. I'd ask for your support for this report, which recommends a planned unit development with site development allowances and that planned unit development up to 77 feet. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Palumsky. Discussion on the report. Alderman Brennan.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, appreciate the commission's work on this as well as the committee's. The commission vote for this project was unanimous, not unanimous, it was 4-3 against. And then as it went through committee, it was unanimous also against 3-0. I appreciate the work of the committee and understand how you've arrived at this recommendation. I, however, have the opinion this project, if well done, will be an incredible upgrade to what's currently at 196, 200, and 202 North York. It'll generate significant tax benefit, for the residents of Elmhurst. I'm not going to repeat what Chairwoman Polumsky indicated, but there are considerations for something greater than 6 stories in the core in particular, and there are a number of conditions that should be considered. The report also references the committee's discussion regarding building scale and the recommendations there. There's clear concern with respect to that. I think there are merits to reject this project as asked by the applicant. However, I also feel there are benefits that I feel outweigh the downside. If this project, isn't fit for these parcels as described by the applicant, then I question whether or not a project will ever happen on these parcels. For those reasons, I'm not in support of the report as written. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Brennan. Just to be clear, the report passed the commission 4-3, and the report.
Yes,
okay.
I misspoke. Yes.
Just to be clear. All right. Other discussion on the report? Well, then we will vote. Clerk Tamer, if you call the roll.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Brennan.
No.
Barimas.
Aye.
Deuter.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Palumsky.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Toledo.
Aye.
Cahill absent. Nudera.
Aye.
Park.
Aye.
Conquest absent. Bastido.
Aye.
11 ayes, 1 nay, 2 absent.
11 ayes, 1 nay, 2 absent. Report 8.1 passes. On to report 8.2. Clerk Tamer, please read the report.
Therefore, the Development, Planning, and Zoning Committee recommends that the City Council approve $65,292 of assistance to the Elmhurst Park District for the demolition and development of a new park at 135 South Palmer Drive. The city attorney is hereby directed to prepare the necessary documents for City Council approval. Signed, Danny Palumsky, Chair, Mark A. Mulliner, Vice Chair, and Emily Bastido, Alderwoman, Ward 6.
We have a motion to put report 8.2 before the council. Motion by Alderman Palumsky, second by Alderman Mulliner. Alderman Palumsky.
Thank you, Mayor. This pertains to a $300,000 TIF request from Elmhurst Park District for the development of a park at 135 South Palmer Drive. The property is located within the downtown TIF boundary. It is difficult to justify financial assistance under the current circumstances. Ultimately, the downtown TIF does not have funds available. In addition, the Park District has already budgeted and paid for the demolition of the building that was at 135 South Palmer Drive and for the construction of the park. This investment by Elmhurst Park District was covered in part by funds paid by developers to the Park District as a direct result of the city's subdivision impact fee policy. The fees paid to Elmhurst Park District by 105 Cottage Hill, 195, the Finn, the Mark, and Elmhurst 255 combined have totaled $572,000, which the Park District has collected and allocated for this project. Despite the lack of funds in downtown TIF, the committee took the opportunity to discuss the manner in which the city assisted Elmhurst School District 205 with funds generated by the former downtown TIF, TIF 1. This TIF district no longer exists, but there are some funds remaining. In evaluating the amount allocated to District 205 per the 2004 intergovernmental agreement as a make-whole amount, and calculating a proportional amount as it relates to the Park District, minus the properties that had been cut out for which the Park District had realized the tax revenue benefit. The committee determined that some financial assistance would be appropriate. The committee recommends that the City of Elmhurst provide financial assistance to Elmhurst Park District in the amount of $65,292, with TIF 1 as the funding source. Thank you.
Alderman Mulliner.
I do support this report. However, I do also support the fact that as a city, we should work diligently to support the park district. And one of the reasons why that particular park was put into the TIF was to assist them with capital projects. At some point, I would still like to see the full amount allocated to the park district. Excuse me. I believe that the amount that they're asking for is a nominal amount considering what it has done as it relates to the appearance and the entranceway to the downtown. It's been a tremendous asset, and I think it's something that we as a city need to do. It may not be the timing right now, but down the road we need to.
Thank you, Alderman Mulliner. Additional discussion? Alderman Dunn.
Yeah, I think this park was a positive development for that area to give residents and visitors to the city access to that park. However, I will not be voting on this tonight because I am currently a candidate for a position with the Park Board as a park commissioner, so I will not be voting. Thanks.
All right, any other discussion? All right, Clerk Tamer, call the roll.
Mulliner,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
Verimas. Aye. Deuter,
Aye.
Dunn,
Present.
Hill,
Aye.
Palumski,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Toledo,
Aye.
Cahill absent, Nudera,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Conquest absent, Bastido.
Aye.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present, 2 absent.
11 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present, 2 absent. Report 8.2 is adopted. On to resolutions. Resolution 9.1. Clerk Tamer, please read the resolution.
A resolution authorizing the issuance of a notice of award and authorizing the execution of a contract for the 2023 contract paving program, Project 23-02, for the City of Elmhurst, Illinois. See item 6.16.
All right, may I have a motion to put Resolution 9.1 before the council? Alderman Brennan with a motion, Alderman Park with a second. Thank you. Alderman Brennan.
Thank you, Mayor. So 9.1 is in reference to a 6.16 consent agenda item. Contract paving, contract for 6.6 centerline miles this year with 12,000 linear feet of curb and gutters. There's time sensitivity associated with this project. So therefore, in that report, we asked to suspend the rules so we could get moving and stay on schedule. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Brennan. Any other discussion on Resolution 9.1? There being none, Clerk Tamer, please call the roll.
Mulliner,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
Verimas. Aye. Deuter,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Palumski,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Toledo,
Aye.
Cahill absent, Nudera,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Conquest absent, Bastido.
Aye.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent. Resolution 9.1 is adopted. On to 9.2, Clerk Tamer, please read the resolution.
A resolution to approve and authorize the execution of a professional field observation and materials testing services agreement by and between Construction and Geotechnical Material Testing, Inc., and the City of Elmhurst for the 2023 contract paving program. See item 6.17.
We have a motion to put 9.2 before the council. Alderman Brennan with a motion. Second, Alderman Park. Alderman Brennan.
Thank you. So similar to Resolution 9.1, 9.2 is related. However, it's engineering services needed to be done before the paving can actually be done. So we want to keep that time schedule, so therefore we suspended the rules in the report above.
Thank you, Alderman Brennan. Any discussion on item 9.2? Clerk Tamer, please call the roll.
Mulliner,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
Barimas. Aye. Deuter,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Hill,
Aye.
Palumski,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Toludo,
Aye.
Cahill, absent, Nudera,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Conquest, absent, Bastido,
Aye.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent.
12 ayes, 0 nays, 2 absent. Item 9.2 is adopted. Item 10, other business. Is there any other business to be brought before the council? Alderman Varamis.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to take a moment to congratulate the Park District on receiving the Open Space Land Acquisition and Development Grant in the amount of $340,000 to fund half the cost of the brand-new park in the Pick subdivision. Pick subdivision was identified as one of the several areas in the community known as a park desert, where homes are not within walking distance of a park. Last year, the Park Board and City Council each approved an ordinance transferring ownership of 3 parcels previously owned by the City of Elmhurst to the Park District. I'd like to thank Mayor Levin, our Public Works Committee, Chairman Brennan, thank you, city staff, my colleagues, and the Elmhurst Park District. I'd also like to thank Senator Susie Glowiak. We both submitted letters of support with the grant application. And there's a lot of history to these parcels, and there were many moving parts to make this vision a reality. The park is situated along the Salt Creek Greenway Trail and will enhance our sense of community for all of Elmhurst to enjoy. The Park District anticipates completing designing, development, and engineering this year. Construction will begin next year, and the new park should open in 2024. The future park will include playground equipment, game tables, and a beanbag toss. So I think maybe to celebrate, we have a friendly bag tournament between City Council and Park District Board.
As long as it's not Elmhurst University, we've already been handed our lunch by them. Well, Alderman Varamis, thank you also for your leadership over the past 2 years. I know that you got a lot of this thing rolling. Any other business to be brought before the council? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Alderman Mulliner, second by Alderman Jensen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.